Hi guys, this is part 2 of how to become a better astronomer. In this one, I'm going to talk about the equipment you're going to need and what you need to look for in it specifically. Well, if you're doing visual astronomy, I would recommend a star chart like this one here. It unfolds. Star chart like this one, or you can get a star chart book, which is a great idea to get. I don't physically have one, but I don't know which one I want to get just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment by looking at library versions of it and see what I like. Then I can find the exact one I'm looking for. Another thing would be a planisphere. It's got written on the back information on how to use it, and it tells you month by month and day by day what things will be visible. It's a great thing to have. Now, if you want to do astronomy using a piece of equipment, number one option is a pair of binoculars. Get as big of binoculars as you can handle in your hands, but if you're going to get yourself a stand or something like that to put them on, doesn't matter what size. You can get whatever size you want. You want as big of an aperture as you can get in the front. And these are 10 by 50s, which are great ones to have. Now, if you want to go to the next level, such as telescopes, this is a good one to go with. You can get some simple little small ones, but you got to look at your application, where you're storing it, how you're storing it. Now, this one, you need to look at specifically the focal length. And this one's focal length is 120 millimeters is the diameter of this front part of the telescope, and the focal length, which is the length from here, from the focus point in the front, all in the focus point in the back, is 1,000 millimeters. And those are the things you need to look for. You need to think about, well, if I want to look at galaxies, I'm going to need a really big aperture and a really long focal length. If I want to look at planets, you don't need as big. You can go with a small one. Now, you can get a big one and it'll work still fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You just got to pick what you want to do. It's your choice. Now, I'm going to go to a website called Skywatcher. I would recommend going through them, or even Celestron. I highly recommend Celestron and Meade because I've had good experience with those two. Orion's pretty good too. All of those brands are good brands. Other brands, you can experiment with them, but I recommend those because you can contact the company and get spare parts. But now I'm over here at Skywatcher's website. Let's look at their telescopes. Well, there's 3 different types. There's Dobsonian telescopes, there's reflector telescopes, and refractor telescopes. Reflector telescopes are like this one, where it uses 2 mirrors. A refractor just uses lenses, which is more like a pair of binoculars. And then Dobsonian is just a type of mount, really, in basic terms. But generally, those telescopes are really big, long telescopes. Especially ones like this one, this one's not one. This one goes on an equatorial mount. But long telescopes like this one. Now, Let's first look at a reflector. Now I'm going to pull up one of the reflector telescopes. Here's a good example. 150 mil aperture with a 600 mil focal length. This would be a good one for looking at galaxies. Now I'm going to go to the next one, which is under the classification of refractor telescopes. Here's a good one. This one has an 80 mil aperture with a 400 mil focal length. Now we're going to go over to Dobsonians. Here's a good Dobsonian. A lot of these are motorized. You can get them unmotorized too. This one has 356 mil aperture with 1,650 1,650 mil focal length. Sorry about that, guys. I was trying to read that number right. But this is just a regular Dobsonians with a controller. Now let's see if they have any other ones. Oh, here, they got classic Dobsonian. I bet this is, yes. Classic Dobsonians are just your standard Dobsonian without motors or anything. They're generally cheaper and easier. I would recommend nothing motorized as your first telescope. Never. I wouldn't recommend it because it's better to learn where the objects are first, then you go to motorized. Now I haven't fully learned where objects are, but I try to remember to do that first. Now the motorized ones, yes, you can learn where objects are with them. You can put it in manual mode and manually move it to objects. And just use the motors to get there quicker. But I would recommend learning how to manually use them. Oh, and something I didn't talk about in this video, I'm going to look it up real quick for you guys. Skywatcher won't sell it, but you can find it through another website. It's called Telrad. Telrad, here we go. Here we go. This is what one looks like. This one's they're a little expensive, but don't be turned away by them because they're still good ones. And if you notice in the picture here, there's this ring that shows up. That's not physically on it. That's a ring that it projects onto the screen. I'll show you in another video exactly what one looks like. but the rings are at different degrees. The outer one is 4 degrees, the inner one is 2 degrees, and the middle one is 1 degree. It's an easy way to go star hopping from star to star. I'm going to come back to that in another video, too. And that's all for this video. Make sure to subscribe to continue learning about astronomy and learning how to do it right. And to keep seeing these videos. See you guys later.